Hey everyone, Margarita here. This is episode 15 of my severe carbon monoxide poisoning, which initially went untreated. And I just want to keep going over some of these symptoms that you may be experiencing if you are Googling around to figure out if what you've been suffering from is carbon monoxide poisoning or if you're looking on someone else's behalf. I think I left off with the reaction to having dental procedures or medical procedures done. I do want to mention quickly on that other medical professional, I mean, most of them, I guess you could say, and dental, anybody working in the dental field, from my personal experience, they do not understand someone who is severely overloaded with carbon monoxide, especially if they've had brain injuries as well, from the carbon monoxide. They do not understand the seriousness of that person's condition and the fragility of their system. And they would continue to go along and move forward with the procedure, not even understanding how serious of a risk that would be. And I know this from personal experience because it nearly killed me. I did have a dental reaction after telling the dentist what was wrong, and this is before I was under any treatment at all, had not removed any of the carbon monoxide from my system at this point, and I nearly died from it. And there's more behind that. I will get into that because it does tie in with my mother's crimes as well. I did not know in the beginning that my parents were actually seeing the same dentist, the one I'd seen this particular time. I'd been at a different dentist my entire life, and this was the first time I had went to this one. So I wasn't aware that my mother was a patient there, and she was telling people things about me that were not true. So when I stated that I had severe carbon monoxide poisoning, they acted as if it wasn't a big deal. They weren't comprehending how seriously injured that I was, and I'd been left without treatment for quite some time, and I knew I wasn't going to live if I did not ever receive treatment, and they were judging me on what I looked like, plus the information that was false that they'd been given about me. So that also played a role in my experience with what had happened with that. But I do want to mention, if somebody does need to go in for a dental procedure, a medical procedure, and you are suffering the ongoing symptoms of severe carbon monoxide poisoning or brain injuries with it, it is not a good idea to do those procedures while your symptoms are that extreme, or you feel that your brain tissue is open, or you have a continuous toxic headache still. If you feel that way yourself, you need to be your own doctor and your own judge on that situation and understand that you should not be having those procedures, because when you are given anesthesia, it will interact, it will cross the blood-brain barrier. And if your blood-brain barrier has already been compromised due to the carbon monoxide and or the brain injuries, it will become life or death very fast. And I do know from trying to get a couple dental procedures done on myself and my son, they just acted like it wasn't a big deal. One of them had mentioned something about speaking to his pediatrician. And that's when I realized, I said, you're not going to get an okay or an answer. The person that you're talking to and all these people you're reaching out to regarding our condition don't have any knowledge of our condition. I'm the one dealing with it. I'm the one who understands it because I'm the one living this nightmare. And so is my son. And I'm watching what is going on with us. I'm experiencing it firsthand. And it is extremely dangerous. And if they try to tell you that it's okay to go ahead and do those procedures, I promise you they do not know what they're talking about. And they have no background or knowledge on carbon monoxide poisoning or brain injuries. So even if they're telling you they can go ahead and do that procedure, I would think twice, and you need to advocate for yourself and do your own homework on that. I mean, I'm not saying take my word for it. Do your own homework, or don't listen to me and put yourself at risk and figure it out the hard way. Because I'm not a medical professional, but I'm telling you from my own personal experience, that is what had happened. So that is a big problem. I would personally just wait until you've received some treatment or you're not experiencing an extreme degree of symptoms any longer then I would say it's probably a little more safe to go ahead with that. You need to be your own judge on where your body is at that time and how fragile you believe your system is, because those other people, those other medical professionals and dental professionals, they do not have any knowledge on the subject whatsoever. So it is very dangerous. I'm just, fair warning. Let's see here. I do want to talk about the immune system issues. Now, prior to receiving any treatment at all, my son and I both remained very sick. And this is before I figured out some other things that we use to keep ourselves more well and our bodies in a more balanced state. I'll get into that in different videos because they're considered homeopathic methods. I'm not going to just come out and talk about them right this second. We'll get to that a little bit later. But we were very sick. Anytime we came in contact with any germs, we got sick immediately because we were so overloaded with carbon monoxide that just adding any little thing to our system made us very, very sick and close to death because you're adding that virus or that, whatever it is, it gets added to your system and it's taken, your oxygen's already taken over, and you add that to it and it becomes very extravagant very fast. Now, once we began treatment and once I started on some of these homeopathic methods, the immune system issue was no longer a problem, and we never really got sick again after that. So it's been probably about 5 or 6 years, and it's no longer an issue for us because of the manner in which I had to go about figuring out how things work, figuring out how to maintain the human body without the help of the medical system, due to my mother having Munchausen by proxy and having worked in the medical system and then had falsified our medical records, which has prevented us from receiving treatment numerous times. And even in the current, if I'm brought back there, I was brought in unresponsive, unconscious, dead, and they still kicked me out. We try not to have to seek any type of hospital help because I already know we're not going to receive any. Same happened to my son a couple years ago. Same reaction. They actually put us in the mop room, and we had an air quality issue. It was very hot and humid in there. So our condition was actually getting worse while we were in there and being mistreated due to the fact that we've never been able to wear a mask all during COVID, after COVID, whatever. We're probably gonna be that way for life. Due to, we live in a state of suffocation from the carbon monoxide being overloaded in our systems and binded to our cells. We just can't wear a mask, and that was made for us. Our condition and people like us, that's what that was made for, because there are people who have a very serious problem. And so instead of treating us like regular patients, we were mistreated. And then he was already in a state where he had a significant oxygen deprivation incident due to a slight re-exposure, and it cut off all oxygen to his brain. He had red spots all over his face from no oxygen, and it happened very fast. So we ended up in the emergency room, and then they did not even help us. I basically demanded a steroid. They had us in the mop room the entire visit and then dismissed us from the hospital. And now this was not the same hospital system that my mother worked for, but those records, you can see in both systems, they basically share, and they can see the false information anyway. So, it is an issue. The immune system thing is an issue if you are that overloaded with carbon monoxide, but you're going to have to figure out a way to get your system to where it can stay balanced, pH balanced and oxygen balanced. And there are numerous ways to do that, even without oxygen or hyperbaric oxygen. So I will get into that in a future video or a couple future videos on how you can go about doing those things. And I might have to put it on a private website. I might do like a Vimeo or something, or a Gumroad, because I'm not even sure YouTube is going to allow me to talk about some of the things that I need to talk about. So I will get more into that, but as long as you can figure out how the human body works naturally, you will be able to bypass that a little bit and not live so close to death with so many significant problems, whether you do end up receiving treatment for the carbon monoxide poisoning or not. So I'll get back more into that later. I'm going to continue on with a couple more of these symptoms here. Because of the brain injury during labor and delivery, I began having flashbacks, and I could not communicate for quite some time after I had given birth. I couldn't spit out what I was trying to say. I was trying to say something was wrong. Immediately, I was having flashbacks from, it was probably about 13, 14 years prior, and then all the way back in time from there. And I didn't really know what it was right away. I knew it wasn't happening prior, and everyone was covering up that anything had happened to me during labor and delivery and just kept pushing on as if nothing was wrong. Those flashbacks went on for years. It was the brain injury that triggered it to begin. That's where it all started. And then I had an additional brain injury where I was dead in my bed for 4 hours. And this is about 22 months later. So this was beginning of 2018. That additionally caused more flashbacks. And these flashbacks continued on this entire time from the time I gave birth all the way to the second brain injury. And then continued on once I began treatment in 2019, and it still continued on for probably about another year, I'd say, from the time I began treatment, maybe even a little longer. And what happened was it basically put back all the memories that I was missing that I had no idea I was even missing. So all these flashbacks were parts of my life that I had either blocked out or that were maybe traumatic, or I'm not really sure. And it has to do with how my brain was injured as well. It was trying to heal and reroute how it was healing, which was triggering these memories that I wasn't even aware was ever missing. So once treatment began and my brain tissue started to heal and the carbon monoxide began to start getting removed, the flashbacks started becoming more frequent, and I started to see the bigger picture of things that I did not remember whatsoever. And I don't even know why I don't remember this stuff, because I certainly didn't feel like I was missing any memories. But I will get more into that because that involves all of my mother's crimes that have been going on for decades. And those flashbacks actually helped piece together in chronological order, and different circumstances stood out where it all got pieced together in the correct order for me to remember exactly what had been going on all of this time. And I think at some point she may have realized that that's what had happened to me, because she did know all during my 20s that I didn't remember a lot of this stuff that I will be talking about. So flashbacks can be, the side effect of a carbon monoxide poisoning. It can be due to a brain injury or both. And once you begin treating or you get your brain to a certain degree healed, they will cease. They will, it did stop after, this probably went on for me for about 3.5, 4 years maybe. And now I guess you could say I have something like that I would call flashes, not flashbacks. It's more, I'm able to see through situations, and the most significant points of a situation stand out, like off of a piece of paper. Let's say it's like something in bold stands out, kind of the same thing, but in your mind. So it's no longer flashbacks or missing memories or anything, due to the amount of healing that my brain tissue has been through. And those parts of the brain that were injured have been repaired, I guess you could say, because that has no longer been going on for a couple of years. Except for the regular flashes that I'm talking about. And now that is actually a benefit, because I'm actually able to see the bigger picture of things, especially if somebody's trying to manipulate me or they think they're going to pull a fast one on me. I can see right through all of it, and it's not flashbacks. I just can see right through the illusion that they're trying to create. And people aren't aware of that either. So I know I might come off as naive, but I did realize that several people have tried to pull one over on me, or thought they were going to. And it's just not possible with you know, the type of person that I am, the type of intelligence that I have, like the training in life that I have, you know, the injuries that I have, and how my brain was healed and put back together. There's all these factors are involved. And so surprise to all of those people who tried to pull a fast one on me or thought they were going to at some point. It's just not possible because of the way my brain has healed. Even though I do need future treatment going forward, that's not something I really have an issue with anymore. It's more of a benefit at this point. So yeah, they're more like, it's more flashes of things that need to be put together so I can see through things. It's not flashbacks and missing memories anymore. Now, I do believe it can be either one separately, carbon monoxide poisoning or brain injuries or both. And it's going to vary on how long that goes on for someone, especially if they are or are not receiving treatment. But if you are receiving treatment, expect at some point that those will go away. It's just a matter of how severe your poisoning is and, you know, how much treatment you have had. So, yeah, so I'm going to cut that video right there at 16 minutes, and I'm going to come back and do another one on the more symptoms. Thanks, bye.